Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today we are going to discuss the class 7th General Science unit number 4. The name of this unit is Growth and Reproduction in Animals. Let me repeat it: Growth and Reproduction in Living Organisms. So, living organisms are plants, animals. We will discuss it topic wise. My first topic is growth. You can see this at the page 29. So come to the page 29. The first topic is growth. Growth is the increase in the size of a living organism. For example, there is a small kid. As the time passes, by using enough food, and this small baby grows and finally reaches the adult one. So what is the growth? Growth is the increase in the size of a living organism. Similarly, if you take a small plant, first of all, seed germinates to produce a small plant. Small plant grows, develops branches, this, and ultimately flowers. So this is a growth in plants, and this is the growth in animals. What factors are responsible for growth? Growth takes place due to the two reasons. Number one, the bodies of the all living organisms are composed of very small units. These units are called cells. So cell divides by a process called mitosis, and the number of cells increases. Similarly, the second factor is size of the cells increases. So due to the increase in number of cells and size of cells, the growth takes place. Now students, we are proceeding towards the small topics at the page 29. If you are at the page 29, the first topic is growth. I have discussed what is growth. Now we are proceeding further towards growth in animals. Growth in animals. So the growth in the bodies of the living organisms takes place due to the division and multiplication of cells. Ultimately, due to the growth, a small baby turns into an adult, and when it reaches a certain stage, for example, whenever a human being reaches at the age of 18, 19, up to 18 normally, the growth stops. Then there is no increase in the length, or weight increases, but there is no change in the length of organisms. Maybe an animal, maybe a human being, maybe a plant, but the growth in animals stops. But there are some areas where a reduced growth takes place. For example, wounds, zakham. Whenever you injured your arm, skin, anywhere, the healing of wounds takes place. This is something, the division of cells which takes place in skin. Similarly, RBCs, which are the red blood cells, they also increases in number. They also multiplies after each 90 days, which are 3 months. Similarly, the repair of the worn out tissues also responsible for growth in animals. But the growth in animals is initially at the earliest stages, this is very short, but then stops, and then very nominal growth takes place in skin, blood cells, but growth in insects is very, very prominent. For example, if there is a marine animal which is called starfish, it has a star-like structure. It has mouth hair and arms. Unfortunately, if one arm is lost, there is a, if it is damaged or lost in any accident or eaten away by the some other you can say prey or attacker, whichever whatever it may be, the starfish has a remarkable power of regeneration. It can produce another arm again. Similarly, in insects, if they lose their one or more legs, wings, or some partial body part, they can regenerate it. So, but in man and other larger animals, this process is highly reduced. So, this was something about the growth in animals. Now we are discussing the growth in plants. These are the small topics given at the page 29. You can see. Now I am proceeding towards the growth in plants. Remember that the growth in plants takes place throughout their life. Let's say this is a plant. These are the branches, leaves. You would have ever seen an apex like this, which is very, you can also see some buds here. So normally in plants, growth takes place at these apexes. For example, this is an apex. It grows and turns into a small leaf like this. These leaves then further grows. Further growth is continuous and like this, which I am drawing progressively at. Then it develops another apex here. Again, they develops into more leaves, fruits, and flowers. Similarly, the buds here, they also grow into a new branch or leaf. So, in plants, growth takes place in upper region and at the site of apexes. But you also know plants have underground part which is called root. Root also grows. So in plants, growth takes place throughout their life, not only above the ground but underground also. These roots grows further. They also give some branches. There is a root tip, and similarly they also give branches. Its thickness increases time by time. They grows and horizontally they spread into soil and firmly hold the plant in soil. So this was something about the growth in plants. And in plants they are also composed of cells. When these cells reaches to their maximum size, they divides into two cells divides to form four cells, from 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64, 64 into 28, and so on. So this process is continuous until and unless you get a huge plant or tree or some other organisms. So this was something about the growth in plants. Now I am proceeding towards my next topic, that is the reproduction. Reproduction. You know, reproduction is one of the characteristic property of the living organisms. So the process by which living organisms produce or generates new living organisms of their own kind, this process is called reproduction. For example, if we have a man or woman, and here is their baby. So reproduction is the process by which the living organisms produces the young ones, or these are called offsprings in biological terms. These are the new babies are called offsprings. I will use this term in my proceeding lectures, so you must understand offsprings mean the new babies. It's a biological term used for the new ones or babies. So reproduction is the process by which the living organisms generate or produce the new living organisms of their own kind. So similarly, the plants produces new plants, and animals produces the new animals. For example, a cat have a kitten, the lion have a cub, and similarly the other animals also have their babies. So the process by which a living organism produce new babies, new offsprings, which are homologous to their parents, which are similar to their parents in all respects, this process is called reproduction. So now let me proceed further towards the types of reproduction. Remember that there are two types of reproduction. One is the asexual reproduction, while the other is sexual reproduction. So the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So the process of reproduction in which there is no combination of male and female reproductive cells, which are called gametes. Gametes in male is sperm cells, and that is in female is ova, or simply we call it egg cell. So whenever the combination of male gamete, that is the sperm, and ova or ovule, which is the term used in this book, which is the female gamete, whenever combination of male and female gamete takes place, this type of reproduction is called sexual reproduction. When there is no combination of gametes, that's a male and female gametes, then there is no combination of these gametes, and an organism gives another organisms of its own kind from a single partner. For example, for sexual reproduction, two partners are required, male and female. But for asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction in which there is only a single organism gives us offsprings or babies. This type of reproduction do not involve any combination of gametes. This asexual reproduction is carried out by a single organism. A single organism gives us babies or more seeds in case of plants. And the new ones which are produced by the asexual reproduction are the exact copies of their parents. I mean, the organisms produced by the asexual reproduction, they are identical to their parents. While in sexual reproduction, when the male and female gametes takes place, the organisms produced may or may not be identical to their parents. So there is this is something about the asexual and sexual reproduction. Now we will discuss it in detail. Let us take the asexual reproduction in detail. This is given in the bottom of your book at page 29. So be there and come to this topic. So sorry, one thing is left, that the identical offsprings produced through asexual reproduction, they are called clones. They are called clones. So asexual reproduction is fast and no combination of gametes. A single partner gives us the babies or the offsprings, while the sexual reproduction involves the combination of male and female gametes. This is a very slow process. Two partners are required to carry out this type of reproduction. So this is the difference between these two. You may have a question in your exam that differentiate between the sexual and asexual reproduction. So for example, the new plants or new animals are produced by any type of sexual reproduction. Then they grows, multiplication of cells takes place through a process called mitosis, and they grows into an adult plant or animal. So now they are further discussing if you come to the right bottom of page 29, asexual reproduction in animals. So now we will discuss the asexual reproduction in animals. First of all, they have discussed different types of asexual reproductions. The first type is, this is not the number one in your book. They are given randomly, but I am writing it in number wise. So first of all is the binary fission. Binary, bi means two, fission means breakdown. Let me give an example of a unicellular animal which is present in fresh water. This unicellular animal is called amoeba. This is called amoeba. Amoeba is a nucleus. This is a cytoplasm. This is a single cell. When this amoeba grows to its maximum size, the further growth stops. Then this amoeba starts division. So how it divides? First of all, the nucleus, which is present usually at the center, it divides into two like this. These are the two segments of the nucleus. Then cytoplasm, which is the outer part of the cell, it starts dividing like this. So division of cytoplasm also starts, and ultimately these two pieces cuts down and it gives us to young amoeba. So these are called daughter cells, or you can call it offsprings. So one animal is divided into two. This is called binary fission. Binary fission is quite clear in unicellular organisms, those organisms whose bodies are composed of one cell. They are invisible to naked eye, but they can be seen through a powerful microscope. So this is the binary fission in amoeba. Similarly, if you proceed to the next page 30, you can see this here. Let me point out this in your book. This is the marine animal called hydra. A small outgrowth starts here. Look at this. Small outgrowth starts here. This is called bud. This is called bud. The bud grows. Look at this. It has grown and it has given up branches. Then ultimately this bud detaches. When this bud detaches, it grows into a new plant. This was the parent plant and this is the bud which has been detached, and now this bud grows into a new animal, new adult animal. So this process is called budding. This is called what? Budding. So budding is the process in which a small outgrowth arises from the body of the parent animal. It grows and ultimately detaches from the parent body, and this detached bud is then converted into a full organism. This type of uh, asexual reproduction is quite clear in hydra is a, you can say, marine animal, but the budding process may also takes place in yeast. Yeast or the fungi, they are used for the swelling in cakes, bakery products, breads. So the yeast, which are the fungi, they also reproduce by the process of budding. But there is also a process which is called spore formation. Some fungi also have some packs which are called sporangia. These are called sporangia. These have the small seeds which are called spores. When this sporangia grows up and the spores become mature, it ruptures. Spores are released, and under the presence of favorable circumstances or favorable environmental conditions, each and every spore grows into a new fungi, or fungi, some people call it new animal. Okay, so this type of reproduction, this is called spore formation. This is highly visible in fungi. Now let me discuss some asexual reproduction in plants. Let's say this is a potato, the normal vegetable. Do you think potato is a stem, root, branch, seed? Whatever is this? Now let me discuss it. You would have seen some buds, small buds on potato, just like the eyes. This each bud develops a leaf. If I cut down it, if I cut the potatoes into various pieces, so that each piece may have one or two these buds. Let us take this part. Let us take this part. So this is the part which I have taken. I have cut it down. It is how many buds? 2. Sow it in soil. This is the surface of soil. This is soil. Water it, and after watering, it will start germination, or it will start growing. From each bud, a new plant arises, and it will give a leaf like this. So from where leaf arises? From root? No, from stem. So remember that potato is an underground stem because it has buds. From each bud, a leaf arises and it gives us a new plant. Similarly, I have taken this part as an example. If you sow the other parts in soil, you will get a new plant. So how many plants can be obtained from this potato? Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can grow 8 plants from this single potato. Okay, if you cut it down further, yes, you can increase the number of plants, but they may have a bud. So remember that, students, not only the potato, garlic, onion, these are the examples of the underground stems. Similarly, They are also called tubers. Then there's a later classification, but now we are proceeding further towards uh, some other plants. In your book, some you would have seen some plants which climb over a tree or wall. These are called runners. Look at this plant. It has some roots. It firmly adheres to wall or any support, so it climbs, and these roots are firmly attached with the wall or other support. These are called what? Runners. Okay, so sometimes we cut a small piece of a stem or branch, and we grow it like this, and this grows into, for example, in rose. This is quite clear in rose. If you have rose plant at your home, cut down a branch and grow it here into this vase, so you can this each branch, each part can grow into a new plant. Now, so this technique is called what? Cutting. This is called what? Cutting. So take a piece of stem or branch, cut it down properly, and sow it in soil. And this cut piece will give you a new plant. So now let me proceed further towards a process which is called grafting. Which is called grafting. For example, in our life, let me talk some frank discussion. Let we have a plant or a bad quality mango plant. This is a bad quality mango, but it has a very good root system. Its root system is very good, but its fruits are not tasty. So what should I do with? Stem is very, I can say it has a very strong stem, strong root system, but its fruit, which is a mango, is not tasty. So what can I do with this plant? So what should I do? I shall cut it in a V-shaped manner like this. I shall take a good quality plant of, for example, this is a good quality plant of mango, and I shall also cut its stem in the same way like this, and I shall bring it here and bind it with the bad quality mango. So I am binding this here, so this will give me something like this. You can bind it through thread, plastic, or whatever is this. So the lower plant, which gives water and minerals to the upper plant, this is called stalk. This is called stalk. And the upper good quality mango plant this is called scion. It's called scion. This technique is also useful in, for example, in our ordinary life, we know we have naranj. Naranj can be grafted with Malta. Take the stalk of naranj and bind an orange plant here. So Then these two, with the passage of time, these parts fixes, remove the thread or shop or whatever through which you have bind it. So remove it, and these two will fixes together and they will become a single plant. So this type of technique is known as grafting. In grafting, a good quality plant is combined or binded with the a good quality plant is binded with a low quality plant, and the low quality plant just provides food, water and minerals, while the good quality plant produces us good quality fruits. So this is clear here in your book. Look at this. This is the part of the good quality flower, or you can see maybe mango, maybe an orange, and this is the part which is here, which is this one. This is the stalk, and the upper one is called cyan. Cyan is of good quality and this is of bad quality. The stalk just provide the food and water, while the cyan produces flowers, seeds and many things. And cut it down into a V-shaped manner, then bind these two. After some time they will fuse together, they will become a single plant naturally. They will bind naturally, so they will become a single plant, and it may take a week or two. So this technique is called grafting, and this way you can grow some useful plants, especially the flowering plants or fruit producing plants. So students, I have discussed, we started from growth and we were proceeding towards the asexual production and ultimately up to page 31. In the next video, we will discuss the process of sexual reproduction. The asexual reproduction is finished here. If you have any problem, you can contact me or Sir Tahir. I thank you all.